Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host Rob. This video we're going to do a little discussion of Godzilla 2014 and the recent news about test tube baby Muto. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, a lot of you have sent me some emails and messages and stuff like that regarding the recent news about the, I'm pulling it up here, the M.U.T.O test tube description that was given, I guess I read it personally on Kaiju Battle Blogspot, and I guess the original post came from Newsarama. So, and I'll read the description. All of you know this by now. This is not breaking news. As I told you, the whole breaking news thing and jumping on here when something happens, I'm kind of done with that. And I also said it's not that I'm not going to talk about it. I just won't be out there running to it as often as I used to be. Because at this point, I'm more focused on I just want to see the movie. And I don't think I want to know too much about what's going on. But anyway, let's get to this. So, Godzilla, born off the coast of Japan in the aftermath of a nuclear explosion, the Lizard King, Godzilla returns to theaters in 2014, directed by Kaiju mega fan Gareth Edwards, with a final script by Frank Darabont. This new film, coming in May, looks to crush earlier renditions of Godzilla and leave Godzilla-sized footprint on the new generation. In this new Godzilla, the monster known in Japan as Gojira will be fighting against test tube monsters dubbed Mutos, created in a secret government lab that threaten to take over the world. Godzilla's cast is a veritable goldmine of acting talent, with Breaking Bad's Bryan Cranston, Kick-Ass and future Avenger Aaron Taylor Johnson, and also Ken Watanabe, Juliette Binoche, Elizabeth Olsen, and blah. Akira Takarada, we all know that. Edwards Godzilla is coming out on the 60th anniversary of their lizard's birth. So, I mean, this is not, to me personally, this is not anything. Well, first of all, it's not concrete. I mean, I'm not saying Newsarama is not a reliable source. I don't go to that website. I don't know anything about it. A couple of friends of mine said they are very, very reliable. And those who have told me that are people I consider reliable. But as I said, I'm on it now where it has to come from Legendary. It cannot... because there's been so much crap out there, I can no longer trust anyone. And I don't mean the people, my friends that have spoken to me. I'm just talking about any website. There's been so many false stories at this point, and so many different. I mean, last week we were hearing that the M.U.T.O was this big monster. One of them called Taligan, and he got his neck ripped open, and this, which was crap. It's like it's only January 6th. I mean, can you imagine the amount of crap we're going to hear over the course of the next 5 months or 4 months? So I'm not saying that this is crap. It sounds like it could be very well legit, because for the most part, it's not too surprising. I mean, we've kind of figured out that the M.U.T.O is obviously some sort of government agency that is involved with the monsters. So them being their creators, or a government agency that has created them, is not a surprise. I mean, we've kind of, more or less, I think everyone has figured that out. I think what everybody's excited about is this is some sort of confirmation. That's where I'm going to throw up the stop sign. I think if it gets confirmed by Legendary, then great. But that's where my source has to come from at this point, because they've just been burnt too many times. But at the same time, it could be very legit. It does make sense. Now, the interesting thing is, if you go to Wikipedia, I'm going to pull it up right now. Actually, let me do this instead. If you go to Wikipedia and you go to the Godzilla 2014 Wikipedia, the original synopsis the original synopsis of the movie is not too dissimilar from that. And I'll pull it up right here and I'll read it. And I've read this before, but I'll read it again since it's on. An epic rebirth of Toho's iconic Godzilla. This spectacular adventure pits the world's most famous monster against malevolent creatures who, bolstered by humanity's scientific arrogance, threaten our very existence. So you can kind of tie those two together because science and secret and government, they all go hand in hand. So... And I did mention in my plot prediction, one of them, because I have two of them out there right now. I did mention that it wouldn't surprise me if the organization were some sort of terrorists. I mean, that's still a possibility. And I don't mean terrorists like we traditionally know as terrorists. I mean terrorists in the sense that it's an organized faction of the government that possibly has gone rogue. I don't know. But, again, if you just read the synopsis on Wikipedia, and that one's been up there for a while, and kind of compare it to what you've heard on that website, there are some similarities. So, do I think it's legit overall? It could be. But I'm not going to fold and say, yes, this is great, this is wonderful news, because it's not coming from Legendary. And pretty much more or less that's where I'm at right now. I think if you've seen my bullshit videos, you know more or less that I'm not taking anything seriously that doesn't say Legendary or Warner Brothers stamped on it. The other thing too is if it was an accurate description of the plot, I don't know why it's not on the Legendary website. And if it was very accurate and it's something they didn't want out there, I think they would have taken it down. So that's kind of like where I'm like, okay, well maybe. And that's just a point I'm bringing up. I'm not saying that that's definitely the deal, but I try to look at things from different perspective. Nonetheless, it's very interesting stuff. And the Mutos is definitely the portion of the movie that I'm very interested in because we haven't seen it yet. We've heard very little about it. Right now we know that there's an organization called M.U.T.O. So, obviously, the monsters are going to be the Mutos monsters. Whether or not they're going to have their own name is another question. The more they keep this a secret, the more I'm starting to believe that we're going to see something very familiar because they want to surprise us. And when I say familiar, again, I'm not saying it's going to be a Toho monster, but which is another story I heard recently. Somebody claiming that Legendary picked up 5 Toho monsters and... That's just a whole nother fucking bullshit story. But I actually have a bullshit folder, and I've been saving bullshit stories that I've been finding so far this year, and I'm putting it in the 2014 folder, and I'm going to do a very special bullshit video as we get closer to the movie, and I'm just going to throw all those stories out there. But anyway, so yeah, I'm very interested in the M.U.T.O. I mean, I think we're going to see something familiar. I'm not saying we're going to see a Toho monster, but I think we're going to see something in the likeness of a Toho monster. The more they keep it a secret, the more I'm getting convinced of that. And again, that's speculation. That's not a guarantee. That's just me sharing my opinion of why they might be keeping it a secret. Because we more or less know what Godzilla looks like. We know more or less what we're getting with him. So, I think the Mutos is the thing to keep an eye on. And I remember Patrick Sabongi saying in the interview that they were badass, and I don't know if he was referring to the army of the M.U.T.O or the monsters, but I feel pretty confident that he's talking about the monsters. So, it's a wait-and-see game. It's a wait-and-see game. I mean, if these things started from a test tube and then they turn into monsters around the size of Godzilla or bigger or slightly smaller, then it's going to be interesting to see how that develops and how that plays out in the actual movie. But anyway, with that said, guys, like anything else you hear, I think my advice at this point would be to, other than Legendary Warner Brothers, just take everything you hear with a grain of salt. That's the best you can do. And don't spoil too much for yourself. If something does break that leaks, be very careful what you read. Like, there's been a leaked script out there for a while. I haven't read it. I refuse to read it because if it is true, I don't want to know anything. So... But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I just wanted to share on that. A couple of people asked me for my thoughts. There you have it. And, we'll see what happens. We're going to get another trailer soon one way or another. Whether or not we get one for the Super Bowl, you know, I've heard that the Super Bowl slots have all been filled, and those slots have the name of Legendary or Warner Brothers on it. But again, who knows? You know, they could have bought a slot and asked them to keep it anonymous or keep it secret. So who knows? But I think we're gonna get one soon. It's you know, it's January 6th. I'd say sometime either I think you definitely get one in front of the 300 movie. But if before that, you should probably see one soon. So I think the next one we'll see a M.U.T.O. I think we'll see a glimpse of them, and then that'll be something else to chew on. So anyway, guys, take it easy. I'll see you next video.